But I know when talking to Casey, he said, take all the world championships out of it. He's like, some of the best memories was riding the roads on the circuit with my brother and my dad. And then that's got to be just like a cool experience.
Yeah. It is. We were talking the other day, the gold buckles, they're awesome. And I've never won one. It's incredible. I wouldn't take that away from anybody. But if you ask Casey today, which I'm sure it sounds like you did, and anybody really, the gold buckles are great and what you strive for. But when you look back, I mean, do you tell me who won the bareback riding 6 years ago? Who won 3 years?
Yeah.
But the memories, man, and the things that you create and the friendships. I remember we could be anywhere in this damn country, literally anywhere, and we were a phone call away from somebody to bring us a truck, a trailer, help us out. I mean, my dad, I think it's in general with the rodeo world and the community we live in, but even more with my dad. He was so loved, but so humble. I mean, he would help anybody, anytime, and everybody felt like he was his best friend. And the stories that I've heard since he's passed on, I'm like, in fact, a while back, I was just sitting there thinking, why the hell did he not tell me all these? These are the coolest, greatest stories ever. And it dawned on me, when you talked to Louie, it was always about you. It was never about him and what he had accomplished. And it was really cool.
That's so neat to have that kind of legacy and impact. It's pretty awesome. When you're talking about the rodeo career, you also said you kind of started up a business and obviously you're a great entrepreneur, several businesses that we're going to talk about. But was that first oil field business that you had kind of slid into, or was that another one?
Yeah, that was that one. Yeah, I started dating my wife, and my father-in-law actually introduced me to a friend of his, and I went to work for him for about 6 months, and I was like, man, I could do this. I don't. So I bought that truck and took the work that I had been kind of getting for the previous 6 months. And then it kind of took off from there. It's a small service company, but it's treated me really well.
That's amazing. So that was your first business, and then what did you end up? And then you started getting in the real estate game a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I bought some townhomes right off the bat. A few years into my oil field stuff, I just wanted to be diversified, and so I started buying multifamily stuff and some rentals, but didn't put a lot of emphasis on that and focus on it. Still tried to just grow my oil field stuff. Really, I mean, I had some little crazy jobs here and there, little side companies, but mostly it was just the oil field stuff until I had my accident in the airplane. And then from that point forward, not being able to go out and mentor guys and be in the field a whole lot with my physical, I've really shifted focus and started a few different things that are much different directions now.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. First, where did the love for aviation come from?
Man, I don't know.
It seems like you love that, if not more than you did rodeo. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But so you really don't know where it came from. Just this, you got the bug one day and just got obsessed and fascinated with it.
Yeah, I remember when my brother-in-law Richard, he's also a big rodeo name. He was a senior in high school entering the pro rodeos, and we had to fly from a high school rodeo to a pro rodeo. And we took a little Cessna 210, and that would have been around probably 06, maybe 05, 06. And I fell in love with it. I was like, wow. And it was another 10 years though, before I started working on my pilot's license and got it.
And that's something that's interesting. I mean, the pilot's license isn't super easy to obtain. I happen to live right next to a small airport, but it's known for having one of the largest fly-ins in the country, and so they do a lot of pilot certification in and out of it. And so I've got to meet some people that train and this and that, and it's not just to get a license and be able to fly, I mean, there's a certain level of dedication for sure.
Yeah, and I flew a long time without one. I finally even actually bought my first airplane before I had my license and was flying quite a bit. And then finally I was like, all right. And I went to a little school and really bared down on it and kind of knocked it out. And, every summer after that, I would pick something to work on, whether it was aerobatics. I did a summer where I had probably 20 hours of aerobatics. The summer before, or I guess it'd be 2 summers before our accident, I spent 2 weeks in Alaska doing off-airport training. And I would attribute the survival of our plane accident to that training. But it just goes to show, I mean, my passion was aviation. I was reading books, watching shows. You know, I knew every airplane, what they should cost, what they cost to operate. You know, and it really, I don't know, I loved it. That kind of took over for rodeo for me. And I flew Casey around. I loved that. You know,
That's cool.
I didn't get to rodeo with those guys, but over the fourth and a few times throughout the year, I would spend quite a bit of time flying those guys around and really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's got to be fun. You still around it, but in a totally different role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about that day. Gosh, it's been now what 3 years, 4 years?
In August, it'll be 4 or 5. It was August of 20. So yeah, 4 years,
4 years.
This August. Yeah, so we had some friends come out. We'd been telling them how beautiful it was out here where we live and the mountains around us. And they came out, and that morning we decided, well, we were going to go to the lake and go boating or go on an airplane ride, or we were actually going to do both. So I said, well, why don't we go for the airplane ride first, since it usually gets kind of windy, and as it gets hotter later in the day, it'd be funner to go boating. Anyway, went down to my hangar. Funny thing is, they said that when we were getting ready, I was doing my pre-flight, and they said, hey, promise us that you won't crash us. Promise us. And this is all on video too. They were videoing the whole thing. And I said, I can't promise you that I won't crash us, but I promise you I'll take care of you. And that's all on video. Yeah, you can actually watch that. It's on YouTube.
I watched it, and we'll definitely make sure and put the link in the description, so you guys can go check it out. But yeah, the fact it was filmed, I was just like, oh my Lord, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy. So we took off and we got up around Kings Peak, which is the highest point in Utah. It's like 13.8 or something like that. And we decided to come back, and we started shooting down the canyon towards home. And I'd pulled back the throttle because we were descending pretty quickly, and a big gust of wind had come up, and just a lot of wind, which was no big deal. I just went to ease the throttle in to get some power there. And when I did that, the throttle was completely loose. It just came apart. And the plane actually fell back to idle. And the throttle, you could just sit there and move it, and it wouldn't do anything. So at that point, I knew we had to make it across the lake. We were in a nasty, nasty area. I mean, literally, if we would have lost our engine 30 seconds prior, there was no living. It's the nastiest, steepest cliffs and thickest country you can imagine. So I knew we had to get across the lake. My initial thought was to go to the beach, but when we got closer to the beach, I kept on having an image in my head, like of nosing in, flipping over, and for some reason, the kids in the back seat were gonna die.